Computer. Okay, and recording has started. Okay, welcome to the libp2p community meeting for November 5, 2018. And the agenda is posted in the chat. It's the same as usual. We're just going to go through and start by everyone talking about what they're working on, and then I or Raul can give an update about Web3 and DevCon 4. There's a lot of libp2p, huge amount of libp2p interest, like way more than I expected. And then if you have a topic, like feel free to add it to the agenda, something you want to demo, a question, anything. Yeah, okay, so let's do it. And if anyone wants to take notes, that'd be awesome. Okay, yeah, so let's go. Pierre, give us a quick update. What's going on?
Hey, so I've been to Web3 Summit and DevCon just like you, so I assume you're going to give an update on what happened there. Other than that, on the Rust side, things are moving as usual. I don't have any specific thing to say. I implemented MDNS also. That's the thing that comes to my mind. Yeah, that's it. I was mostly busy with the conferences. So.
I just have one quick question for you. A couple of people were asking me about the new API stuff. Like basically, sorry, I don't recall off the top of my head who this was, but it was like they wanted to contribute something to Rust, but it was blocked because of this API changes stuff. What's the status of that?
So there are also people who came up to me to ask the same question, so it's probably the same people. And yeah, I just, so I explained to them that, so first of all, I didn't know that people other than us were using Rust libp2p, so we were not careful in breaking things. And I explained that it was really necessary, and I truly believe that it was necessary for us to break everything. And in the next couple of weeks, it should be more stable. I gave a deadline of 2 months, which I think is realistic. In 2 months, it should be stable, 90% stable.
Okay. 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 Also, all right.
So were these the Lighthouse guys, possibly?
I met the Lighthouse guys, but I don't remember if they asked me this question. I have Golem in mind.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else. I don't recall. There was someone else.
Because the Lighthouse guys told me that they had been hacking on some particular enhancements on a repo of their own, so it would be good at one point to merge this into Rust libp2p, or at least have you review their changes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about offline, but 2 months seems like a really long time to me. Maybe there's some way we can let them.
Yeah, that's like the maximum limit I gave. So I don't expect 2 months. I just need to add a trait, implement it everywhere, and that should be high level enough for everyone to use, hopefully.
Okay, cool. Okay, my next person on my screen is Michael. I'm guessing you're just here to listen, but do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm mainly just here to listen. Also, if you have time at the very end, I have a question about calls, but I'll wait so that you.
Okay, feel free to type in the agenda. Okay, Aiden, what's up?
I think I'm gonna follow Michael's lead and wait till the end and mostly just let you guys run your meeting.
Sounds good. Jacob, how are things in JavaScript land?
So I'm working on the libp2p 0.24 release. We ran into some awesome issues with Speedy, and so that the Speedy transport for JS has been neglected for a while, and that is causing lots of problems in Node 10 and with this release. So I'm looking at that and working on the libp2p Speedy muxer to make that a little more fault tolerant. So that's just been consuming most of my time. And then also started working with Biggs on the starting to look at the testbed stuff.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think Biggs is going to give an update on.
Yeah, let me just interject there. Yeah, I think that's going to be a growing priority for us. There are a few ETH 2.0 implementers that we found in the conference that are going to be using likely JS libp2p. So by Q1, people are aiming to have at least a little hint of a testbed running, which means that there might be pressure from two different clients using Go libp2p, Rust libp2p, and even JS libp2p to actually interact with one another. So that'd be great to actually prioritize this.
Yeah, I mean the testbed is a high priority for a bunch of people on this call for this quarter. Yeah, so I think it looks like Cole's going to talk more about it later, but yeah, I agree. So just going through the screen here, Vasco, anything you want to add on JavaScript?
Yeah, hello. I've been focused mainly in IPNS over PubSub interop in the DHT. In the IPNS over PubSub, PRs are ready in GS land, and then I was working in the interop, and I found a problem with the topic. I've been discussing this with Steven, and more recently, Vizu also had his opinion about it. Basically, we'll have to change the topic as it was in Go in a way that we couldn't talk in GS side. So we need to decide basically how we should go and make the changes both in Go and the GS to make it possible. Then in the DHT side, I got the DHT interop tests green, and now I'm working in some stress tests, which will be like an initial step for me for the OKR of the testbed in the DHT as well. So this week I will continue working in this stress test for the DHT. I will also have to implement the DHT CLI for GS-IPFS because it is missing right now, and I will need it to use IPTB to test it. And I will probably also start the IPNS over DHT PRs. And that's all for me.
Sorry, lag because I was typing. Okay, cool. Thank you. It's helpful. John, how are you doing, sir?
Things are going well. I've recently been working on both JavaScript and Go implementations of disjoint path lookup in the DHT. That's mostly done. As far as I can tell, it works. I'm just writing some tests right now. So I should have 2 pull requests, one in JS and one in Go, out probably tomorrow or so for people to look at. I'm also, Henry sent me a really interesting looking paper on Byzantine fault tolerant DHT, so I'm going to be reading that as well.
Oh, great. We should talk more about that because that's a big, that's one of the many attacks that they're interested in the Ethereum 2.0 world.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm a little skeptical of, we'll see. I'm going to have to read the paper and see what it says, but we'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Steb Alien, anything, you do anything on libp2p recently?
Nothing other than fixing small bugs and responding to random things and reviewing stuff. Nothing interesting.
Okay. Raul, what's up?
Right. So shall I give an update and an overview of everything that we did in DEF CON, or did you want to do that, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's good if it's fine if you want to do it. I put that as like a separate topic, so I guess maybe let's.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. Okay, so let me just focus on dev. I didn't get to do much, but given all the hustle and bustle with DEF CON, but this week I'm gonna be continuing with the dialer. Thanks a lot for all your comments on the dialer version 2. That was super useful and helps me continue focusing on the right approach there. I'm gonna make another iteration this week. That's going to be the core and then of my work this week. And I've got other stuff. Wait a minute. Sorry, I didn't prepare for this.
That's fine.
Yeah, so that, I think that was going to be, and then yeah, I've got a bunch of blog posts that I need to write and a bunch of diagrams that people have asked for regarding architectural overviews of libp2p and how the different concepts tie together. There was also a lot of talk regarding Gossip Sub and the lack of understanding of many aspects of Gossip Sub. We need to get better at explaining those, and there's a number of moving parts. So there was a request for an architectural diagram of that as well, which I think is going to facilitate people pick up the concepts there. So I'm going to be working on that alongside Viso, hopefully. We've already been chatting on an issue, and yeah, basically catching up on my backlog after DevCon.
Okay, Viso. Shoot.
Right, here I am. So I didn't get a lot of actionable items down this last couple of weeks. So then I got a new laptop set up and everything. So I've been playing with it. But anyway, one thing I've been working on, I did work on, was basically adding connection-mounted support to the daemon, some small issues, and now I want to merge all the relay. So I wanted to, point it out here in the meeting because it's been, the hacky nature of things has been consensus. So anyway, we've been having a conversation on how to proceed with the host service architecture. I've been thinking a lot about it, but I don't have anything actionable yet on that. So maybe we should, speaking of which, I think it's one of those issues that we might want to schedule a small Zoom meetup to discuss it synchronously, because I think, we kind of want to reach consensus about it. I don't know how people feel about it. We can do it all in IRC or on the issue, but we might want to mix us for the same thing too. Might want to do some synchronous time. So basically, that's about it. I'm going to merge the relay. That's one thing I want to do. I was waiting for the meeting so that people have the chance to raise objections. Then I'm going to work on to merging it into IPFS to use it for the next release. So I've been waiting on that because it was 0418 release, and we didn't want to sneak in or the relay in. So that's why we've been waiting on that.
Okay, I added auto relay as a discussion topic for this meeting. If we don't get to it, then maybe a smaller group of people could can do another meeting.
So the one thing really would, right now the way it's written, it's the only way it could be written with our current architecture. Really lacking, in the concept of a service. So I had to do some, they're gremlins that are hiding behind the public interface. They're really solely internal interface, so I didn't feel too bad about it. But it's not the value grade, so his spidey sense is going, no, this is too hacky. I won't be able to maintain it and everything. So we've been discussing about new architecture. There is an open issue about introducing the concept of services deep inside the libp2p host because we need it. And you're going to have a redesign for relay pretty much ready once we start. It will be the first test of the new architecture. The refactoring needed to do, what the relay is really nice aesthetically for, for those who would like to dig into the internals of the code. As I said, I don't mind it being hacky at all because it's hiding behind the facade. You don't see the gremlins.
Well, it's still somewhat showing because the constructors are all public and people do use them. But as long as we have a resolution to fix it ASAP, and we actually do it instead of putting it in the back burner of we'll fix the ASAP, but one more feature first, then one more feature first, then we end up with a monolith, which is what we currently have. Pushing GoIPFS.
No, that's Stephen. I'm with you here. We're gonna fix it next. So I'm putting it on my plate. That's the next thing to work on. But I feel it's the kind of things that we might want to have a single meeting because there seems to be we're discussing about dependency injection framework, and we haven't figured out exactly how we're going to use it first. I think we want to start top down in how to do it because at the end of the day, the dependency injection component is going to be the least important part of the system. So we shouldn't base the design on it. So we'll see. It's something that's easy to write to.
Okay, yeah, I think we should have a synchronous discussion with Stephen, Viso, and then anyone else who wants to participate. Yeah, that's my take on it. I'm glad you brought it up. But let's keep going through this meeting.
Yeah. Anyway, so last warning, I'm gonna merge it. So and then I'm gonna add it, like to IPFS. Anyone objecting to merging because we said, oh my God, the grandmas are under my pillow now.
I mean, can we do like 15 minutes after this call, like Stephen and?
No, I'm gonna merge it tomorrow. That's fine. I'm not gonna merge it like right now. I'll merge it tomorrow.
Okay, all right, yeah, that doesn't give us much more time, but I don't know. Let's see if we can just talk about it a little after this call, because I respect both of your points of view, but I don't have the.
Actually, we're not disagreeing. We're not disagreeing. There's no disagreement with Stephen. We're both like, yeah, we should merge it and fix it later. I mean, the only thing I do want to merge it first, because then we have actual code to refactor as opposed to writing a service interface and then you're like thinking in the abstract and building the interface. I would very much rather have live code to refactor. It's going to be a test of the architecture, and it's going to put, because if we can't implement that relay properly, then why are we doing the refactor? That's going to be the driving point of the refactor.
Yeah, no, I understand. Let's go on and try to come back to this. But I did, because I think it's important. Cole, you're the last one.
Howdy. Yeah, I guess mine will kind of dovetail into my agenda item next. I've just been like poking away at daemon stuff and doing a lot of code review for all the stuff that Visa's been working on as well. I need to do a more in-depth code review of the dialer role, and if there's still time, I can do that today. So if not, I'm happy to wait for the next version. And then, yeah, kicked off stuff with Jacob for the testbed. I actually got some really good feedback on the Go core dev sync, so that's something that we can talk about. But yeah, that's it for my update.
Okay, cool. Okay, so so here's what we've got on the agenda. Web3 and DevCon 4 update. The testbed stuff, maybe you've already covered everything you wanted to say, Cole. I don't know. And then Aiden put in a topic. Is there somewhere I should be looking for libs to make it easier to utilize IPLD compatible graph data structures, add new command services to the daemon, also as stats of graphing. Okay, yeah, that's a big conversation, but it's a good one. And then, yeah. So I don't know. Let's just go in order. Raul, do you want to try to summarize DevCon in like 2 minutes, or do you want me to?
Do you want to? Yeah, just you take a stab at it. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So Raul and I are going to provide like a more detailed update as a GitHub issue or PR somewhere, and I'll share it on the mailing list afterwards. But I would summarize the event like at a really high level. I would say between Web3 and DevCon, there's a tremendous amount of interest in libp2p from like the blockchain world. A lot of these, basically what I'm seeing over and over again is that blockchains want a peer-to-peer foundational layer, and they don't want to, they want it to sort of just work. They don't want to have to understand all the intricacies and subtleties of, DHTs and how do you prevent attacks? Like how do you prevent civil attacks? Should we have a proof of work to create identities? Like they just want us to figure all that out and have it work. And so those were the kind of conversations that we had. The single biggest user issue that I see coming up at both of those events is lack of documentation. Like it's just really confusing for people to get started. They all go and start reading the code, but we don't provide them any high level guidance of like what are the abstractions, like diagrams. So I think that's where we should work on some creating some content. And I think Raul's going to try to create like a series of maybe blog posts or other documents. He did an awesome job of this kind of like life of a peer. It's similar. It's a kind of inspired by the talk you gave, Jacob, once about like the life cycle of a libp2p connection. So Raul did kind of like a walkthrough of like hey, I'm a peer. Okay, I have a peer ID. Now I want to discover other peers. Okay, now I've discovered other peers. Now I want to publish on PubSub, and just walking through the different abstractions. And I think turning that into text and diagrams is not going to be too hard, and I think it'll be super high leverage for the project. So that was more than 2 minutes. That's my summary.
Yeah, I think I just want to, that was great, Mike, thanks. I just wanted to add a couple more things here. One of the focus was to rope people into the community. So rather than have us build stuff for blockchain communities and in general decentralized infrastructure and so on, we really want to rope people in. So we are onboarding, there's a team, the Ethereum Foundation is in the process of finally committing to select a Python libp2p grantee. They opened up a call for grants, for proposals, and a team that we interacted with a lot during the conference made a proposal, and they are a group of students that are super talented. They've already made progress. We're going to be bringing this repo in to the libp2p organization as well. There's a Java libp2p implementation likely starting as well at some point. There are 2 actors that are interested in contributing to that, so that's good. And yeah, definitely documentation from the point of view of like, yeah, people can read code, that's great, but like have them get this mental picture of the entire system. That's the challenging part. So that's what personally I'm going to be working on in the next weeks. And yeah, I think we definitely uncover the fact that we need to start thinking about community governance as well. So it's great that you're here, Michael, because as we bring in, or I don't know if you're still here, yeah, as we bring in new people into the ecosystem, new discussions will start popping up and like arriving to consensus about stuff and keeping especially like so many implementations in sync and lockstep with one another and interoperating. That's going to be challenging, right? So we definitely need to start thinking about these aspects. And yeah, there was a lot of talented people that we came across, and it's super exciting. A lot of people are super excited about libp2p in general.
Stephen, you had your hand raised?
With respect to the multiple implementation of libp2p, what about potentially pushing forward the libp2p daemon and making bindings? Is that a better approach, or is that, I think especially in Python, that'll be a lot more performant? Maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, so in general, the community, so I really want to I want to allow the community to take their own decisions, right? And at the end of the day, the kind of like the consensus has been moving in the direction that the daemon work is great, but it is a separate process, and it requires a separate setup on the machine where, the application is going to be running. And at the end of the day, we really want to, like a networking stack, the consensus seems to be that the networking stack should be callable to natively from whatever application, right? So in general, people want to for now move so they want to adopt the daemon as a temporary solution for now. But generally the community is tending towards building native implementations in different languages.
I think at the end of the day, we'll probably end up moving more towards the daemon as the default for everything. You can go up your test simply because, like participating in the DHT, you don't want to have a million connections open for each implementation. So like basically from a multi-app standpoint, you really want one daemon. But also from a integration standpoint, I really think we can, it's not going to be easy, but I think we can make it feel native, where like you start the daemon and it starts up as a process, like passes the file descriptors in when it starts it. And yes, technically it's a separate process, but it's not like I don't know. We could build it into the files. Like it's tricky in terms of like now you have to compile it from multiple platforms and kind of sucks with Python. I don't know. Like actually Rust would almost be a better solution for this, but that'd be something.
Yeah. In general, I think that makes sense. I think as we move towards the multi-tenancy approach as well for the daemon, it will start making more sense where you have a single daemon running for as many applications as you might have in that particular machine. But in general, the community is tending towards building native implementations in each language, whether native constructs and so on. But yeah, I see what your point is, and also there was some discussion about whether it would be feasible at all to implement a canonical version of libp2p in WASM as well, that compiles down to WASM, so that then any application that is written in any language that can also compile down to WASM will be able to use it. I think in practicality, there are a number of challenges with dealing with sockets and so on in WASM, especially because they are not as far as I understand it, it's not. Wasm doesn't offer a native interface to dealing with sockets, so you need to escape the sandbox in some manner. So yeah, that's like a very that's a conversation to have at a later time for sure.
Okay, so let's move on from this. There's a whole other discussion I think we should have about both this and community governance, but just for the purposes of this call, I think so. Cole had raised his hand a while back.
Yeah, I guess I had a thought about the Damon stuff, but that can happen another time. But I can happily jump into the testbed thing. So one, I would just like to invite anybody who's interested, and Vashko, I think you probably qualify for this, to join Jacob and I on a call tomorrow if it's convenient. It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is actually, now that daylight savings time just happened, I have no idea what time it is UTC, but it's a time. I can invite anybody to the event, and you can just decline or accept or whatever. But yeah, we're going to be talking about kind of practical first steps to the testbed. I spent Friday poking around Kubernetes IPFS. I got a lot of feedback that IPTB is really where we should be looking for this, that Kubernetes IPFS is kind of dead. I think what drew us to the Kubernetes project was that it has like integrated support for testing, but one of the things that Jacob and I were talking about last week was that we were probably going to have to rewrite the testing side of it anyway, so it seems like IPTB might be just the best candidate for now. But yeah, John, I got your message, so I'll definitely invite you to that afterwards. But yeah, the big open questions, I think, are like, what is the kind of testing pattern going to look like? Like, is each test going to be a binary that runs and manages a cluster? Or, you know, is it going to be some sort of declarative JSON or YAML-based testing or what? So definitely open to feedback on that, and yeah, hopefully we'll actually start getting like a small cluster booted up this week and start like our first milestone is really just to get a cluster of libp2p nodes up and connected to each other, and then to kind of proceed from there. So yeah.
Okay, can you invite, so it seems like a lot of people on this call are interested, Heisey, me, Aiden, yeah, Vasco. Maybe just invite everyone on this call and they can decide for themselves.
Actually, you know, would it be appropriate to just put an invitation out to the libp2p mailing list and then just let whoever?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah.
If I can figure out how to do that.
You should be able to just send an email to libp2p@libp2p.io. As far as I know, just go to everybody.
Sounds good. Oh, Vizo?
Yeah, well, actually, two things. First, one question. Has there been any traffic in the libp2p mailing list? Because I don't think I've ever got any email for it. So
I didn't hear the first part. You're saying you're not on the list, Vizo?
I haven't got any traffic on the list at all. I haven't got any messages. So I must not be there, because there must have been some messages, right?
It's a very low volume list, but I will double check and make sure you're on the list.
Okay.
I'll do that right after.
Yeah. So the other part I wanted to say is that for the daemon, I mean, the application can hide the fact that there is a daemon. The bindings for the language can hide the fact that there is a daemon very effectively. So, you know, the API we did in the Go side is basically just gives you connections, and then you just use a client object. So I think we should definitely, I don't know how you want to approach this, but we really want to encourage people to prototype their bindings in the daemon and write some applications. And then they can, if they really want to put the effort that is guaranteed to be pretty significant to implement everything else natively in the language, then they're free to do that. But I don't think we should encourage, for example, Python to not use the daemon. I mean, it makes no sense to implement, you know, like libp2p in Python. It's going to be dog slow. It's going to be slower than using it.
We can't resolve this on this. I understand where you're coming from, and I have this same inclinations, but there's another side to it. I don't think we can resolve it on this call. Let me try to schedule a call.
So sorry, I just wanted to correct a misunderstanding there. this is, so there are Python bindings being implemented by the community as well, and in parallel there is a Python native implementation being implemented. This is the community deciding to implement a native.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. But all I'm saying is that the default implementation and the first implementation, I'm in agreement with Steven here that the first implementation, should be use a daemon. And that's the canonical implementation for building applications. And then if you decide that daemon doesn't give you the native performance that you want out of the applications, which you have already prototyped, then you're free to do, like your native binding and implement what.
Yeah, I completely agree. And maybe we can re-encourage the people who are thinking about evaluating or implementing native implementations to relook at the daemon and to, but maybe this is just a suspicion on their end that, they prefer to have a native implementation in whatever language, and the daemon might perform better for them, especially for Python, right? So, but at the end of the day, Python is not really, in Ethereum, is not really a client that is used in production. It is used for prototyping, and especially for the research team. So they do want to have a native implementation, and they do want to encourage that.
So if they're using prototyping, then they really don't need a native implementation. They should be able to just hack quick bindings to the daemon and use that.
Wait,
yeah,
sorry,
the daemon is ideal for that, for prototyping.
Yeah, I agree. I see what you're saying, but there is a team wanting to implement an libp2p implementation. I don't see why we should stop them.
I'm sorry. I want to.
Source, we can't stop them. Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm done.
Hold on, just 1 second. I want to respect people's time, so I want to end this meeting. I don't want to end the discussion. I'm going to schedule 2 follow-up meetings, as you can see in the notes, and we'll have ample time to keep going on this. I mean, yeah, but I think we should try to respect the time boundaries for the meeting. So let's call it a day.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right, I'll invite all you guys.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
We can debate this at length. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a nice day or evening.